I grew up in New Jersey, in suburban New Jersey, outside of New York City. It was a pretty normal childhood. Kind of had everything I needed. I lived with both my parents and my younger brothers, and went to school. Kind of did everything I was supposed to do. The first drug I started with was alcohol. Um, I went to a party, and I was in high school, and someone invited me to a party, and I went and I got drunk, and it was like, this is the best feeling in the world. It was the first time that I found something that made me feel normal, made me feel like I wasn't disconnected from people, made me feel like I wasn't isolated by myself, like I was different, like I was weird. It was, I found something that makes me normal, and I, I want to do it every day for the rest of my life. That kind of introduced me to drugs, and then I was at a party and someone was like, do you want to smoke weed? So for me, it was like, well, if all these other things that people say are bad are like alcohol, maybe I want to do those too. I started smoking weed all the time, um, after school every day, all day on the weekends, lunch break during school, before school, and then I was introduced to some other drugs, and it was, same situations, being at a party and someone being like, do you want to do cocaine? And every time someone offered me a drug, I said yes. And so it started with alcohol, smoking weed, coke, ecstasy. For a few years, it was a lot of coke and ecstasy and drinking, and then I was kind of introduced to prescription painkillers and opiates, and that's kind of when things really fell apart. That was the first time that I was physically addicted to something, that I actually had physical withdrawals. Before that, it was a lot of a psychological addiction, more so than physical symptoms. It would just be, these thoughts going through my head like, I need to get high, I need to get high, I need to get high. Once I got into opiates, it was like my body was like, you need to go get high right now to feel normal. Because by then, I wasn't really getting high. I'm just going from being sick to normal. I went to school in California, and I didn't really go to school. I lived in Los Angeles near campus and got drunk and high a lot. And because of that, I had really bad grades. I was about to get kicked out of school, and I called my parents one day and told them that I needed to come home, I needed to drop out. And my mom came to pick me up from school and helped me kind of pack up my stuff. And the look on her face when she saw me, because I was obviously not all right. I looked terrible. I'd been drinking and doing drugs pretty much constantly for 2 years. And the look on my mom's face when she saw me was just like, this is not the son that I dropped off at school 2 years ago. Like, who is this person? And, just a look of sadness and kind of like heartbreak, like, like what happened to my son? That was a terrible feeling, that my mom didn't really recognize me, that, I mean, she recognized me, but it was so obvious that I was not the same person. And, that hurt, and I knew that the consequences of my actions as far as school, dropping out of school and doing really poorly in school, because I'd always done well in school before that, that was hard to deal with. But then, seeing the disappointment in my parents was really hard to deal with. It hurt a lot. It made it so that, the first thing I wanted to do as soon as I got away from them was get high again, because that was the only way I could deal with my feelings. It was getting to the point where using drugs wasn't fun anymore, and I was trying to stop, and I knew I needed to stop, but every time I tried, I found that I couldn't stop. I couldn't make it more than 6 hours or a day without using, and every time I'd tell myself, okay, I'm just going to use today and I'll quit again tomorrow. And I'd wake up the next morning, and the withdrawals would start to kick in, and I'd be really sick. And as the day went by, the symptoms got worse. My whole body would hurt. I had no energy, but I needed to move. I was restless. I'd be throwing up, nauseous, hot and cold at the same time. And after a few hours of that, and just telling myself, no, I'm not gonna get anything. I'm not gonna use. I'm gonna quit. This is it. I'm done. Before I even knew it, I'd find myself, I'd be on the phone, and I'd be like, all right, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And the whole drive to go pick up drugs would be like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna quit. I'm actually gonna quit tomorrow. This is it. This is the end. And it went on like that for months. I'd made this decision that, I knew I was an addict. I'd accepted that I was an addict. I couldn't stop using drugs no matter how hard I tried. And I was just so miserable that I decided that the only thing I could do the only solution I had was to kill myself. And that's how miserable I was. And I called one of my friends, one of the only people that was still willing to talk to me, because by this point I'd pushed away almost everyone around me, and told them that. And he talked to me for a really long time and spent a lot of time together, and eventually convinced me that there was a solution, that I could go to rehab. Maybe that would help me to stop using drugs. And so I went to my parents and I told them, I was like, look, this is what's going on. I'm a drug addict. I need help. I need to go to treatment. And they helped me find a treatment center here in Nashville, and I checked myself in and did a 30-day program, and it helped a little bit. It got me away from drugs for 30 days, which was a really long time at that point. And I just wasn't really willing to take the suggestions that they gave me. They wanted me to do all these different programs. They told me that I needed to, get really involved in 12-step recovery, and I didn't really have any interest in that. A couple of my friends and I, when we were first getting clean or introduced to recovery, we kind of formed this little clique, and basically what we were all doing was we were pretending to be in recovery and getting high together. And we thought it was the funniest thing in the world, because we were like, we have everyone fooled. No one knows that we're getting high. We called it the Dragon Slayers, and we made T-shirts for ourselves, because we thought we were so cool. We thought it was amazing that no one knew we were getting high.
The first time I remember Nick really, I guess seeing him, was when he was a Dragon Slayer. And I knew he was high, or at least getting high. And, I really didn't want any part of it, I guess, is the best way to put it. I remember it was like 3 times in a row. The little clique he was with, they would come in like 5 minutes late, all wearing the same shirt, sit right together. And it was just like, what do they think they're doing? Just arrogant, thought they had everybody fooled.
I moved to Nashville to get clean and to stop doing drugs. I just went through this whole 30-day program to help me stop doing drugs, and almost immediately, that's what I'm doing again. And I'm lying to everyone around me. Everyone that I meet, I'm pretending that I'm clean, I'm pretending I'm not using drugs. I'm lying to my parents every time I talk to my parents. I'm lying to my friends from home that are calling to check on me. I'm just lying to every single person that I meet, and just keeping these secrets in again. And it was, it brought me right back to active addiction, where I'm lying to everyone around me and pretending that, I'm not as bad as I think or I'm not as bad as it seems, that, I'm doing all right, that everything's fine. And it's just this burden of keeping these secrets and this guilt. All came crashing down, through drug tests and people finding out. And I came to find out that after I did get clean and got honest about it, that everyone knew we were getting high. No one was fooled.
A few months later, he found whatever the low point was for him, and I could see some humility come in. And, a big thing I saw was he started, really got into helping other people. service work. I mean, he's at a treatment center every weekend. You know, and I think what I saw was him, you know, start putting others first. Maybe not all the time, you know, but a lot of the time, and it's been it's been amazing to watch. You know, the thing is, there's so many similarities between us that, you know, it's even though the age difference and the background and you know, we're trying to do the same thing, and it's just, you know, not doing any drugs today. You know, this program, it throws people together that normally do not mix. You know, and yeah, I'm a 44-year-old redneck from Tennessee, friends with a 23-year-old guy from New Jersey. You know, and one of my best friends. You know, I don't really care how or why. You know, I'm proud to be his friend today. So.
I'm Nick from Bellevue. I have 22 months clean. We do recover.